Who really did it? Fucked up. Yeah, bro.
You
So are you saying that they arrested the guy, and you're saying it just wasn't him, but they're saying it was him?
No, there's new information that came out that it actually wasn't the correct
Why
shooter.
can't we hear him?
On a new stream. Based off of
major
eyewitness
events, what will
report,
take place for
That
other
wasn't the right shooter.
political guests who
Yes, he's dead.
come to campus, what adjustments will be made,
They got the wrong
what
shooter.
lessons can we learn from this, what lessons will the campus and the university staff, everyone, the leadership, what will they do differently moving forward? How are they going to address the emotional standpoint for the students? How are they going to meet the emotional needs for the students? So many questions there that they may be still working through at this time.
Absolutely, and we're 2 minutes away from 2 news at 4 o'clock. Brian is in place. He's going to be there when they start this news conference. And just a tough day for us here in Utah today for this to happen to anybody, regardless of your.
The shooter is still at large.
Just getting a message from the producer.
Sure.
That 2 News
Yeah,
is
is he?
about.
He is, bro.
What did you say?
So just saw the report based off
This
of
is a live
eyewitness.
look
They
outside
said that wasn't the
campus.
right
Some
guy.
of the doors are open again, and we're waiting for this news conference, like you said.
They got an
Jim, to find
elderly
out
man,
who saw what, who knows what.
about 60 years old.
Hopefully we'll get a
Wrong
little
guy.
bit of an update on what happened out there today.
Yes, and with students who are still on campus right now,
Yep.
that has to be stressful. This is not the kind of day that you envision for
It was a
yourself,
government attack.
no doubt. Classroom,
How much trauma people just went through,
work
bro?
get done,
Imagine
assignments,
seeing that shit right there.
all that,
Getting shot in
all
the
of
neck
that
is
is just
crazy.
going to be.
Stand by, 2 News at 4 starts
One bullet.
right now.
This is breaking news on 2 News at 4.
All right, as you can see,
Child, where's
video
your body
from
out of there?
today. I think we all know what happened earlier. Chris Burbank joining us right now on set to talk a little bit about what we're seeing and what we don't know at this point.
Skirting to the G.
For those that don't know,
Yeah, we
Charlie
don't.
Kirk
Somebody said they thought
officially
maybe the shot
confirmed
could've
dead.
come 200 yards away. Somebody else said it could come from the building. And I don't think they have the suspect in custody, do they?
see, look, they talking about it right now. I'm telling you, they got it, it's not him.
All right, stay with us. We're going to start 2 News at 4 right now.
Still at large.
Okay, sorry guys, it's a very fluid situation as we've been trying to cover this. So joining us now is former Salt Lake City Police Chief Chris Burbank there with
Shout out to
Mark
Rue.
and Jamie and I. We'll get this situated here, but if you're just joining us, Charlie Kirk, he
What's going on, Rue?
was shot and killed on the campus of
RIPM.
UVU earlier this afternoon while performing or while hosting one of his Turning Point USA events.
And this particular event that happened on UVU's campus was the first stop on his tour. And so,
I mean,
no
there's no
doubt,
doubt some information
many
on this
questions are going around. What could have been done differently? Where did the direction of the gunfire, SWAT teams are looking into that, how to track down the shooter. At one point, we have seen reports that someone was in custody and then someone was released. And in just a short moment, we are going to be going to Brian
Well, that's it.
Leahy,
Gotcha.
who is live on
Wrong
campus
guy.
where the University of Utah, UVU, is in the process
R.I.P.
of
Charlie in the chat.
putting together a news conference to let people know exactly what's going on, how Utah Valley University is adjusting to the tragedy that unfolded literally hours ago.
Yeah, I think we have some video, if we could go ahead and pull that up full for you, of students on campus shortly after this shooting happened. As you can imagine, it was a chaotic scene as we're hearing reports from witnesses, from students there, that there was one single gunshot that they heard, and then Charlie Kirk, who was underneath a tent, that's where he was hosting this debate, was shot in the neck. And that's what he does. He does these debates as part of Turning Point USA. He goes around the country and he hosts these debates and he has very civil dialogue with students on campus, and that's what he's known for, is bringing young people into the political landscape. And he allows them to go up to the microphone, state a question, ask a question, and then they debate. Sometimes it does get a little heated, but they both make their points, and then the next student gets to come up to the microphone and have their chance at it. So while we are awaiting this news conference, which we were told was scheduled to start at about 4 o'clock, that can obviously change. Joining us now is former Salt Lake City Police Chief Chris Burbank. Thank you very much for taking a few minutes with us. You just had a chance to take a look at this horrific video. Just your initial thought and take as officers, SWAT members are still.
He was a conservative.
trying to find the shooter.
He was.
Broad range of emotions, because this should never happen on a campus in the United States, and it happens far too often. But the chaos that we've seen, we want people to run away, right? We leave the situation, but boy, that makes a horrible investigation afterwards to try and round up
R.I.P.
who may be
Charlie.
involved, who saw what, video, all these different things. There's a lot going on that campus right now.
He was a political
Unfortunately,
activist.
I don't know that they have the
Sony.
exact direction yet.
Is the intercommunication between agencies a nightmare scenario?
Well, we've done a pretty good job, especially in Utah, right? Following the Olympics early on, we really developed a communication system that everyone can talk together. So that part of back and forth communication is good. What you lack is the leadership communication, right? Who's in charge of the scene? How are we directing? Who are we holding up? Where are we sending traffic? Where are we sending witnesses? All that becomes very confusing. And then overlay a little federal security on top of this, and you do have a very chaotic event.
You're a parent. There are parents probably watching this right now with students that were there at that event. We're being told that the shooter is not in custody at this point. As a former chief, what do you think those men and women that are on the ground right now trying to locate this shooter are going through? I mean, are they using all the technology at their disposal? Are they scouring social media to look for video? Are they interviewing witnesses? What is being done, do you think, right now?
Well, it's divided very evenly, right? The FBI is involved in this. There's a headquarters that they're going to be scrolling every piece of video,
Damn,
every
Jersey
social
Mike.
media post that comes out there to see if they can't learn anything. Thankfully, that's away from the scene. What you have is men and
Yeah,
women
end of the
on
day,
the ground, and you
still had a
see some of
family, he
them,
had kids and stuff like that.
there's still a risk to individuals, right? Looks like it's been minimized, but there's still a risk. So you have to cover and search, and it's not just a blind search, look down at the ground. You have to be aware of all the circumstances, right? This person
R.I.P.
could be
Charlie.
hiding there.
And managing manpower with something like this, immediately I think, oh my goodness, all hands on deck. But when we're talking about moving officers in areas, especially when we're talking about campus as large as that campus is, how do they figure out, okay, we're gonna move our resources here, but not use all of our resources in one area?
Well, that's the struggle with staffing, right? And the nice thing about policing in Utah especially, right? Crowley Square, people came from everywhere to help out. But you do have to manage that resource, because if you just let it run wild, you're gonna exhaust your resource and you won't have the extended potential investigation that you need. So it is a matter of somebody stepping up and saying, okay, I'm in charge. I need you folks over here. I need you actively searching. You're in the next phase, right? We're gonna schedule a shift, because who knows how long this is gonna go on.
Knowing every investigation is different, there's unique circumstances at play here, there's probably evidence that leads you in different directions. But if we're starting to get reports of an all clear, at least on campus, that net has to be wide. What goes into those discussions? How do you even start to point, which direction do you point it to start looking?
Well, a lot of it is
Right,
technology.
definitely was so
right?
human.
Traffic cameras, right? Personal cell phone video, everything that may show somebody fleeing, may show somebody suspicious, you're gonna start analyzing that. What direction did they go, those types of things. And so it really, you can't discount anything. I can't tell you how hard this is.
Did they find the
because
shooter?
You think, okay, he
I
probably,
mean, I think it was over like
this way,
5,000
it's
people
leading
there
us this way.
or more.
You can't say no to that until you can say absolutely for sure that's not right.
Now, there has to, and I
With a
want to
single
say
shot
this
fired, it's
delicately,
crazy.
but I know that it may be graphic for some people to imagine. The direction of the bullet. Is
Yeah,
that
dude.
something that can be very difficult to try to pinpoint the direction that gunfire came
I
from?
feel like this is about to answer your question.
Well, you're going to try and pinpoint it from the sound, right? Because you'll have people who heard the audible sound of that. Where did it seem to be coming from? Was there any other movement or anything else that was suspicious? As far as the actual contact with the human body, bullets and bodies react completely different. So it becomes much of a forensic examination after the fact, as opposed to, I can look at that video and say it's the North.
Right. So if you're just joining us here at 407, on the left side of your screen is a live look inside of an auditorium on the campus of UVU. That's where we're being told that officials with the campus and the Department of Public Safety will be providing an update on the shooting death of Charlie Kirk on the campus of UVU a little bit earlier today. So until that begins, we do have with us former Salt Lake City Police Chief Chris Burbank, trying to walk through what law enforcement might be going through right now, because there, as far as we know, and we may find out a little bit differently here in a few minutes when we get some more information, there is still no suspect that we're being told.
Damn, Madison, why you feel like that?
There was some video out a little bit earlier of someone there at the event that it looked like he was being taken into custody. Of course, social media immediately went out and said, there's the shooter, there's the shooter. We now know that person is not.
RP Charlie in the chat.
Does law enforcement not even see all that and forget all that, or does that muddy the waters for them?
Well, it certainly muddies it in the instant. Right? What you try and do from a law enforcement, every lead, every comment, everything you look at and you say, okay, is this valid? Can I prove it wrong? And when I can say, nope, that's absolutely wrong, then I push it to the side. But until I can absolutely verify that, especially in an ever-changing situation, you have got to hold that in your back pocket and say, okay, we may have to come back to this. But it sounds like in this case, they've cleared this individual and sent him on his way.
What is the potential mental toll that this could have on the investigation? Because with the shooter still not found, as at this point that we are aware of, this has to be very, very tough.
Well, it is. It's personal, right? This happened on our campus, right? These are some people that maybe were securing the event, right? What am I going to do to change this outcome? What am I going to do? What did I miss? Right? There's a lot of second guessing going on, and the challenge that we have in today's world is we can't secure everything, right? It's just impossible, and so you do the very best you can, and you hope that nothing goes wrong, but unfortunately, as we've seen, it does occasionally.
Sounds like an obvious question, but with that many people at the event, I don't know exactly how many were, but some reports are that there were a couple thousand people.
It was a very large event.
It was a big event. It's got to be, and again, it's kind of an obvious question, but it's got to be so difficult to try to find one person out of all of those people, and the right person.
The needle in the haystack, without a doubt. It really is. And I will tell you, one of the things that I think is important, so if you have information, right, if you thought you saw something, you heard something that might be valuable, make a phone call to the police department, right? Let them know, here's my name, here's my number. Please contact me. I might have some information.
This is in Utah, but they definitely call it.
Right? I mean, it's one
This
of
in
those
Utah, they definitely call it.
you would never pass somebody by who had that information. So if you got it, let them know. And sit tight. One of the things I
Those
think
was all
is
his
important
supporters that was
is
there.
yeah, they was.
This is his
you need to
event.
be careful of yourself.
Bro, this was literally his event that he hosted. And it was like, he do it like yearly or whatever. This is the first stop of this year.
I'm going in that building.
Check. First
I
stop.
thought this was one of the little regular.
No, this is Raleigh. Like, they all for go Charlie.
Is there
Like,
inference that can be made because a suspect.
yeah,
has
they
not
knocked
been
him on his
located
first,
yet?
on his
That
very
that
first
person
trip,
I
bro.
said, I'm gonna show you what go Charlie.
Or is that just,
Dang, Charlie.
They did him dirty.
we don't know
No,
at this
you
point?
really don't know. And what we're missing.
Now that I know all of that,
we're
that's
hearing reports, we're
wicked.
hearing social media and other people
I
comment.
thought it was just like a little regular event. He gonna post on Instagram or something.
Whoever it
You
is,
feel
law
me?
enforcement, stand up and
This-
say,
this
this
one
is
of
what
his
we know,
Johns
this
that
is what
he
we're
give
looking
in.
for, which
Yeah.
I'm
They
hoping
would
comes
probably
out.
put that out.
Yes, they, if they have that information,
It would be
they have
greatly
that
missed.
responsibility.
We're going to turn our
You need
attention
to leave
really
Madison.
quickly, thank you once again for speaking with us, to Brian Malahy, who is standing by for a news conference that's set to take place on UVU's campus. Brian, do you have new information for us?
Yeah, we understand people are going to speak are Lieutenant.
No, it's
Trevor Rhodes
America.
with the Department of Public Safety.
Freedom of speech.
Also Governor Cox, a representative of the FBI, and also the DPS commissioner who will be speaking today as well. They're making some last minute preparations there, so everybody is
RP Charlie in the
prepared
chat though.
here at the podium. There are press from all over the state here right now. And we expect with all of those individuals speaking that we'll get the situation related to the investigation, what the FBI is doing to help bring this to some sort of resolution. Has there been a resolution already? What is the status of the investigation? Governor Cox, we understand, is inside the building right now, not in the auditorium, but in the building, getting a briefing on this. And then the DPS commissioner, in terms of the resources that have been galvanized to delve into this as deeply as possible. I mean, just outside this building right now, there are myriad cop cars, fire trucks, paramedics, police dogs, we've seen them as well, officers in SWAT gear, the lawn guns, very apparent on campus. All of that is really just outside the door, if you will. So that is a little bit of what we expect to be hearing now. We hope that they're going to be taking some questions, although I can say from my vantage point today, this is the first we've heard sort of an official version of events. So that sometimes conflicts with what witnesses have said and what witnesses have told us. And we've heard those stories over and over again. It was a question about gun violence. And then even before Charlie Kirk could pick up the microphone, according to one witness, the shot rang out. Some saw blood actually on his right neck, and then saw Charlie Kirk slump at that point. Most people did not go to help. There were some who did, at least according to the witness statements. Others tried to beat it out of that quad as quickly as possible in the outdoor space where this event took place. And so that's where many people tried to get as quickly as possible away from the source of the gunfire. Where exactly that gunfire came from, we don't know. In terms of the suspect, what we know about who was taken into custody briefly, what do we know about that individual, and then what was it that led to that person being released, and then
90.
the current suspect right now. Is there any information, is there a description? Is there a profile? Is there
You heard about this?
a call for
Shot
me?
him.
That's
Broad day. Show me the video, bro.
This is an associate director of the Department of Public Safety
probably
right
know
now.
him if you've
I think
seen
these are preview remarks, but we should start very quickly now.
The actual press conference starts. Also, if you guys need water.
Yo, you out of pocket, bro. No, he be on some political shit.
Even you on some like gender shit, like
Be on that tech time.
So, again, that's okay, Cameron, nice to see you.
All that transgender shit ain't real.
Is nearby.
And he'll go at you about it. Like,
The DPS and the Utah Highway Patrol will be speaking first about the situation, perhaps the current status of the whole milieu of events.
40 people on this
Then
show.
we're going to be hearing eventually from the governor. The governor apparently is not ready yet, so that's going to happen later. First, we're going to hear though from DPS, and again, a lot of these, a lot of this is preparatory. These things never happen or seldom happen on time. It may take a little. And then there's the other issue here. What is new?
I can't be.
You wicked, sweat.
There's some new developments that need to be.
How is it on your mind?
Everyone is clear on what the circumstances, what the facts are before they share that, because there's already been that situation today where.
I want to see how old his kids is.
So that's something else that may be addressed here as well. To get all of those individuals together quickly is, notable. The other question might be, however, why didn't we hear something 2 hours ago? Or, closer to the shooting scene? There may be a good explanation for that, we don't know. But the lieutenant for DPS.
Then he got a son and a daughter.
Speak first, the governor, the FBI, the DPS commissioner. Again, I did see a representative from the Attorney General's office here, but it doesn't appear that individual is going to be part of the formal remarks today. So that's the situation here. We are all waiting word with a certain sense of anxiety and trepidation here, because
You hear me say, you got
not
two
having the
kids.
official version
Yeah,
of
son
the
and a daughter.
events, and then when you hear them, sometimes they can be jarring. The different
The daughter
perspectives
3 and like the
around
son
that
like 1
crime,
or 2
even
now.
outside of it, are one thing, but to hear it, an official recounting of the events through the investigation is really quite another. And I'm gonna yell up and just see, Lieutenant, are you soon to take the podium? Okay, all right. I see. Okay, and the command meeting is with whom? Are you able to say? Okay, all right. So we just heard word that there is, quote, a command meeting that is going on right now with the chief, he described it. Which chief is a little unclear to me. The commissioner of the Department of Public Safety and the governor. And once that breaks, they will have something more to tell us here. So we will get back to this as soon as it happens. We're in a waiting period here at UVU. Brian Malecki, KUTV 2 News.
Brian, thank you. And one of the things that he just mentioned, talking about how basically those who are preparing to step before the media and before the public, they have to have their own briefing first to make sure that everything that they have, they're able to share.
This is an active investigation, so they have to be calculated in what they can release to the public right now, is that correct?
Absolutely. One of the things that's very hard for the public to understand is there's information that is only known to the person who committed this crime. And if you put too much of that information out that you know to the general public, then everybody knows that, and it's hard to single out that individual that may know something. And so, while frustrating, there is a little back and forth, and okay, should that information go out, or what should we hold back to make sure that we have the exact person who did this crime?
We really haven't heard a lot yet from campus police or the university. Are those tough calls to make? Is that ultimately the chief's call on when information is going to go out?
Well, policing unfortunately is very political, right? I'm of the mindset that someone from the police department stands up and gives the information.
And it was
as soon as
usually you.
possible.
When you
Usually
were
me.
chief.
When it was an event
Yeah.
that, you know, nobody else gets the blame or the credit but me.
Yeah.
But those are hard because sometimes police chiefs work for individuals that don't want information released, that want to be the individual doing it.
But then what about with the FBI and these other agencies? I mean, you have people who are heading up those departments as well, and then they all come together. Then who makes the decision?
Well, usually it's going to be the people who have the jurisdiction over the situation. Right, so where this, I'm not sure if UVU has their own police department or not.
I was just looking it up. They do have a public safety department, and I counted the number of people on the page. According to their website, it's just over 30 people at their public safety department, so it's not a very big outfit.
No, it's not, and because it's a state institution, right, the state has some authority and jurisdiction on that, is why we're seeing, you know, DPS there. And so, usually, again, it's probably going to be DPS who is the primary spokesperson who is going to set the tone for this is how law enforcement is going to respond to it. Because it's a challenge, right? If you have federal saying one thing and someone else saying another, that's right. They're very cautious about not jumping up in front of a mic and saying, well, here's what I know. Right? We need to be a unified voice, which is very important. In
Everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, everyone knows the same information and is going in the same direction.
Also, just a few minutes ago, Turning Point USA, which Charlie Kirk was a co-founder of, put out a statement that says it is with a heavy heart that we confirm that Charles James Kirk has been murdered by a gunshot that took place during Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour campus event at Utah Valley University on September 10th of 2025. May he be received into the merciful arms of our loving Savior who suffered and died for Charlie. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in their prayers, and we ask that you please respect their privacy and dignity at that time. Again, that's a statement coming from Turning Point USA, which Charlie Kirk co-founded, I believe it was over a decade ago. And again, this is someone that has been pretty influential in the conservative movement. He went to campuses all the time and spoke to students. One of his main missions was to get young people involved in the political process, and he became very influential, very powerful. He had the president's ear. He had lawmakers. He had the ear of lawmakers. And he really built a coalition, a conservative movement and coalition, and this is one of the things that he loved to do. He loved to go to these campuses, and he loved to have debate with people that would come up to the microphone, and they would ask a question, and then they would debate. And sometimes it would get a little heated, and then the next person would come up in line. And our own Heidi Hatch, her son, goes there, and he was actually, according to Heidi, in line. He was a little ways back, but he was in line. He was trying to get up to the microphone to speak when this shooting happened. So this is certainly hitting close to our KUTV family and home. And so again, you just heard from representatives from Turning Point USA asking for privacy for Charlie's family.
And we are just getting word that the news conference, we're getting now a 5 to 10 minute window at this point. This could change, but this is the latest information that our producer is telling us right now. There have been a number of people who, across the country, across the political spectrum, who have offered their condolences. They have made comments on social media about the tragedy that's unfolded earlier today. And it just makes people wonder about their safety even more so than ever before. And the climate in which we are living in is certainly different from, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so now, when it comes to public events, safety, no doubt officers are going to be thinking forward. What can we do differently the next time?
Absolutely, but I will tell you, one of the things that is always concerning for me is I don't want to live in America where I can't move freely and attend events. And I will tell you, right, and there's good studies on this. When we all refuse to participate, well, the criminals thrive, right? That's when terrorism, which is exactly what this is, right? That's when that wins. But when we all say, no, we're going to participate, we're not going to tolerate, we're going to be aware, but not afraid, and we're going to participate and make sure that this never happens again, that's when we're most safe. Right? When you know as a criminal that everyone is looking and going to point the finger at you and say no, well, then it's uncomfortable to commit that act.
And again, if you're just joining us, former Salt Lake City Police Chief Chris Burbank is joining us now. You do a lot of work right now on police advocacy, criminal justice reform. You look at the data, you look at a lot of the information and try to consult on that front. But, you know, we're hearing suspect, not custody, not suspects. What goes into trying to determine and figure out if this was a sole person or maybe some sort of a group effort?
Well, a lot of that is going to depend. So just on face, right? You have a single gunshot, more than likely a single shooter, right? That wouldn't indicate there were multiple ones. Now, may have had some assistance, may have had some help, but you won't find that out until you figure out who that individual is who actually pulled the trigger. Then you start to work backwards and say, okay, who else aided and abetted, right? Who assisted in this, or who supported this even?
Right. And does law enforcement immediately start working, I would assume, with the medical examiner? I mean, when you're trying to collect evidence, that's part of evidence collection in a process like this, is it not? Looking at sort of the wound, if there's any fragments of the bullet left in. Police, law enforcement, they need that evidence, do they not? They need it right away.
Absolutely they do. And they've locked down the area. Not to be overly graphic, but in most circumstances, you don't even move the body because it's the property of the...
Okay, Chris, we have someone, I don't mean to cut you
Oh,
off,
no.
we do have someone addressing the podium. Let's go ahead and listen in.
Bill Mason. Then we'll hear from the FBI Special Agent in Charge, Robert Bowles. We'll then hear from Utah Valley University Vice President Val Peterson, who's been in touch with President Jimenez. And then we'll hear from Governor Cox. Turn the time over to Commissioner Mason.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. Today at approximately 12:20 Mountain Standard Time, political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot in an event at the Utah Valley University. He was taken by private vehicle to Timpanogos Hospital, where he later passed. The Utah Department of Public Safety will be co-leading this criminal investigation to find this killer, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We are working in unison with the County Sheriff's Office, the local police department, and the University Police Department, all of which have been very cooperative and fully engaged in this process. Shortly after the shooting, we did have a suspect in custody, George Zinn, but he was released from custody after we identified that he did not match the shooting suspect and was not an accurate person of interest. However, he has been booked into the county jail by Utah Valley University Police Department for obstruction of justice. We do still have an active investigation for the person of interest. This incident occurred with a large crowd around. There was one shot fired and one victim. While the suspect is at large, we believe this was a targeted attack towards one individual. This is a tragic moment in our state and in our country. As we heal, we encourage everyone who is struggling with news of the incident to call 988, our state mental health crisis line. In addition to that, partners with the FBI will also be discussing other ways we can communicate through the public for tips and other information. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the FBI, we extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Charlie Kirk. Our thoughts are also with the people who witnessed this traumatic event. We know that what you experienced was very difficult. Our thoughts are with you as well. As soon as we heard about the shooting, special agents and personnel from the Salt Lake Field Office responded immediately. We have full resources devoted to this investigation, including tactical, operational, investigative, and intelligence. To be clear, the FBI will fully support and co-lead this investigation alongside with our partners. We are working on setting up a digital media tip line, and as soon as it's established, we'll get that information out to everyone. I know there's a lot of questions. This is very much an active case, and this investigation is in its early stages. We are following all the leads and all the evidence. If anyone has any information, please report it to the FBI or local law enforcement. Thank you.
On behalf of President Tuminez, who we've been communicating with, and she's on her way back right now, I want to say that on behalf of Utah Valley University, we are shocked and saddened by the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk. We express our sincere condolences to the Kirk family. We grieve with our students, faculty, and staff who bore witness to this unspeakable tragedy. He was invited by the student group Turning Point USA to speak on our campus. We firmly believe that UVU is a place to share ideas and to debate openly and respectfully. Any attempt to infringe on those rights has no place here. We do not condone any form of violence at UVU and seek to make our campus a safe place for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this dark and tragic occasion. I want to thank our law enforcement officers who are leading this investigation, starting with Chief Long and his response here with the UVU Police Department. We're grateful for your leadership and your team. And again, to the speakers that you've just heard from who are co-leading this investigation. I also want to recognize Sheriff Mike Smith, who has been an invaluable partner as this investigation moves forward. I've been in touch with President Trump, with FBI Director Kash Patel. We are completely aligned with our state and federal partners as we work through this case. Now, this is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence. That this great experiment on which we embarked together 250 years ago. That we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And And today, a life was taken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to 2 young children. He was also very much politically involved, and that's why he was here on campus. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people. Historically, our university campuses in this nation and here in the state of Utah have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated. And that's what he does. He comes on college campuses and he debates. That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Now, we have a person of interest in custody. The investigation is ongoing. But I want to make it crystal clear right now to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
And they said they got the bull.
They got him?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Our nation is broken.
Update the law.
We've had political assassinations.
They got him, y'all.
In Minnesota.
What is that? Let them know what that is.
We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has brought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans. With that, we're happy to take a few questions.
The FBI director is posting that a suspect is in custody. I would just like clarification. Do you or do you not have a suspected shooter in custody?
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
That is not George Zinn.
That is not George Zinn. That is correct.
So are you still searching for or looking for another shooter or anybody else with that?
Yes, we are actively looking for anyone and everyone who has any possible information relating to this shooter.
Can you tell us details about the suspect being taken into custody where, how long ago?
We cannot at this point, but we will get you that information when we can.
Is there believed to be a second individual involved?
At this point, there is no information that would lead us to believe that there is a second person involved. Do you want to talk about what we know there?
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed circuit TV here on campus. We do have that, we're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. We do know dressed in all dark clothing. We don't have a much better description other than that.
So to clarify,
The shot came from here on campus, from a location at a fair, potentially from a roof, yes. A longer distance shot from a roof.
so to clarify, with the security camera footage you have and the person interested in custody, those, does that match?
That's what we're trying to decipher right now.
So the FBI
I'll just say that the investigation's ongoing, and as soon as we have further information, we will be sure to release it.
Any indications for intelligence?
As of now, I can't comment on any of that.
Can you talk a little about the security of the event itself? Who was there, security-wise, and what happens on these kind of events?
So my name is Jeff Long. I'm the police chief here at UVU, and I'll tell you right now, we are devastated. We're a small police department. We have a very large campus. We have over 40,000 students, and we love our students. We love our visitors, and we're devastated by what happened today. This is the police chief's nightmare. I'm very saddened for the Kirk family. I know his wife and parents found out about this. You know, obviously he's away from home. He's here in Utah. They find out by a police officer that visits their home. That's tragic. Nobody wants that. But I can tell you about our venue today. This was an open venue. This was outside. We did have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area, and so he was kind of in a lower area, surrounded by buildings. You know, we had some plainclothes police officers that were in the crowd as well. You know, we train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and you know, these things, you know, unfortunately, they happen. You try to get your bases covered, and unfortunately today we didn't. And because of that, we had this tragic incident. So we did have officers there. We had Charlie Kirk's team. He has a security team that travels with him, and they were here with him when he was shot. I'm sorry, see? At this point, I can't disclose that.
When Kirk was shot, there was a question being asked about that shooting. Was that person apprehended?
Like a shooter or flag. Tell you that.
Say the question again. I don't know if I understand what you're saying.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, he was answering a question about mass shootings specifically. Was that person apprehended, and do you know who asked that question?
I do not. We do not have that at this moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for just one more question, so thank you.
Yeah, a question for the chief as well. Was it your team or Kirk's team or a combination of both that was set the security protocol?
So we work together. You know, he has his team, and they do this all over the country. We all know that. This is not uncommon for them. They're very comfortable on campuses, and I was coordinating with his lead security guy, and so yeah, we were working together.
Was this a sharpshooter type shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the questions that will be answered today. Again, thank you for covering this. We will be updating you as soon as we have additional information through normal channels, working with law enforcement. Again, our deepest condolences to the Kirk family and to the students who were there today. I would just ask everyone everywhere to please pray for their family and to pray for our country. We need it now more than ever. Thank you.
All right, so there was a news conference that just wrapped up with some state officials on the shooting, death of Charlie Kirk. Governor Spencer Cox calling this a political assassination. And we now know that there is one person of interest in custody, not a suspect, a person of interest being questioned, but they have opened up a tip line and they are still actively looking for other potential persons of interest as of right now.
And
not to say that they think more than one person was involved, but they have a person of interest right now that they're questioning.
And that person being in custody, DPS Commissioner Bo Mason also said that. There was a little bit of confusion because the FBI director, Kash Patel, said that they do have someone in custody, but it was unclear as if this was a second person or not. And so the questions that you heard just now specifically talking about, okay, are we talking about a separate person or is it the same person? But that just wasn't clarified. Another thing too that was brought up, Jeff Long, who is the UVU police chief, explained how the layout of this event, how it was set up. He said that this was it was an open venue, it was outside. One thing that stuck out to me, and probably for a lot of you as well, there were approximately 3,000 people in attendance, 6 officers.
Yeah, and to talk about that and to kind of break this down, we do have former police chief from Salt Lake City Police Department, Chris Burbank, with us. Your takeaway from what you just heard?
Well, second guessing what they did is very hard, especially at this point.
Right.
But just for a comparison, there's probably 10 times that amount at any given football game that occurs in this town. And so just to simply move people requires officers, requires people to just be aware and saying, this is where you get out, this is wait here, those types of things.
Sure.
And so it's hard, I don't know what the security team looked like that was there, visiting, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to look at this in some way.
One of the questions that we did have going into this news conference is, because of an event of this size, was there coordination between Charlie Kirk's team and the university? And it does sound like that there was, that they were in coordination, at least leading up to this. And this is something that he does at campuses all over the country. No one wants to be up there at that podium addressing really not only the state, but the nation. The nation's watching Utah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of this. No one wants to be up there. And I could tell, based on the questions that were asked, they were holding some things back, and we talked about that before the news conference started. I think they have to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Well, what you have is, if they've got somebody in custody, right, they think this is the person who did it. But you cannot just focus all your resources there, because it may not be, right? I mean, who knows what's going to bring. And so it would be irresponsible to just say, nope, we're over and done with, see you later.
And that was pointed out even with the first suspect that was in custody, that they said that the person did not match the description of the suspect that they were looking for. That was something very important that was mentioned today as well.
Yeah, and so law enforcement officials have opened up a tip line. We'll get that information, we'll get it up, because they are still calling for people that might have any information, maybe some video, to reach out to them and let them know, because they are still in the part of their active search for a person of interest.
And we're going to turn our attention now to Brian Malahy, who was at that news conference. He was standing by waiting for it to begin. Let's go ahead and turn to him now. Brian.
Yeah, I think we learned several new things here. One, the person they have in custody is described as a person of interest. They're not identifying who that is. Another question I had hoped to get to them is he a student here at UVU? We don't know. There was no real mention of that. In addition, I think we also learned here today that that the person fired, they think, from the roof of the building, and that the person was dressed in black. So there were surveillance cameras as well that apparently also were part of the reason that this individual was taken into custody. George Sim is the person who was identified first as the suspect. That person was released because he did not match the description. But there may be some questions about him because he is in jail on potential obstruction of justice. So we have a person of interest in black fired from the roof, they think. And then we have the second individual who had been taken into custody previously on a possible obstruction charge. We also heard here, and I agree that, you know, we ought not to, at this early stage necessarily, second guess the security. But 6 officers with thousands of people, 6, along with the security detail for Charlie Kirk. There were no checks going into this event, according to the people I've spoken with. There was no one asking for tickets. Nobody was asking to look in backpacks. No one was checked for weapons. So that is something that I think is going to bear more questioning in the future. There will be more questions about that and whether this was adequate. I think a lot of people, though, were thinking, okay, Charlie Kirk comes to town, he speaks, he mixes it up with some students, gets a lot of support, and then he moves on. And so this was thought of perhaps as not being an event where security needed to be heightened. But 6 officers, I think there will be a lot of questions about that. Perhaps wide open event on the quad with a person firing from the roof, maybe security wouldn't have mattered. But then the question of how did that person get up there? What other circumstances were there? And so I think there are we heard a lot of new information here today. The FBI seems to be focused. DPS seems to be focused. Maybe we'll get some more answers tonight on whether or not this individual is identified as a suspect and charged, booked into jail. And Governor Cox today also mentioned something I thought was interesting. We will hold you to justice. Whoever did this will hold you to justice, and specifically then mention, I remind you, we still have the death penalty here in Utah. So we're going to be keeping on at this, and we'll hopefully get a little bit more information this evening. New information today, finally, some new information late in the day, and more to come. Live at UVU, Brian Malahi, KUTV2 News.
I'm live here at the hospital, Tabinagos Regional Hospital. We're on standby, waiting for more information as to what will happen next. Across the street, people are gathering, paying their respects to Charlie and his family. Not much has happened, but we have been seeing recently more activity, more police arrive. Let me step aside to show you just a little bit of how every entrance in the hospital has been blocked off. Only emergency vehicles and people needing care are allowed to go in. They have pushed all media and all crowds to the sidewalk, but at the moment we just saw an ambulance enter the building. It's unclear right now if the hospital is taking in patients right now or what that ambulance was here for, but we do know that this is still a very active scene. Police are around your area. This entrance and every other entrance has been taped off. I'm here just waiting to get more information. With that, I will send it back to the View in the studio.
Thank you very much, Leslie. So we just learned that this person of interest is being questioned right now. Are they looking into everything, do you think? Can they go into social media, or is it just really questioning at this point?
Oh, no, they're doing everything.
They're doing a deep dive.
You have resources involved in this particular incident that are very vast. Mm-hmm. So the FBI, they're searching everything that this person has ever said, done, quoted, been seen. So absolutely.
Can you talk about vehicles? They're probably putting everybody on alert when it comes to being on the lookout for specific vehicles, and probably extra sensitive to the fact that if this person is thinking of an exit strategy, what would be the locations of transport that officers and investigators will be looking into?
Well, it's so wide open that it's almost anything, right? I mean, it could be Uber, it could be a cab, it could be a bus, it could be a personal vehicle, right? It could be someone on foot. And so it really is, right? We don't have enough information to know that we saw this person exit in this direction at this speed or anything else. And so it really is wide open to what it is. And what's important about this, and I look back at my own experience, right? We have the individual in custody that we believed killed Destiny Norton. And we got a tip that she was seen in a vehicle in Ogden. And I put that tip out and said, be on the lookout for this vehicle, because it might be, even though we were pretty confident here, never want to let something slide like that. So it just becomes such a critical thing, and there's so much hyper attention to this one that it's a challenge, right? Accurate information is key.
And we also learned from that news conference that the state, DPS, is going to be co-leading this investigation with the FBI. Does that mean federal resources start to pour in on this?
We have always had the advantage, right? I look back, our relationship with the FBI has always been fantastic. And so yes, there will be federal resources available. I think because of the profile and nature of Mr. Kirk, absolutely there's going to be heightened federal resources available in this particular circumstance. And so, but it is a partnership, right? It's one of the things that when you get down to it, the trust and confidence of the federal agencies, the local agencies to come together and say, we're going to do this so we're all better together, is really important here in Utah.
Absolutely.
The question, though, that sticks out to me, and probably a lot of other people as well, is that this person, they believe that this person shot from a roof of a building. And that raises a few questions about security measures for a lot of buildings and for a lot of public events moving forward.
It does, but we also have to look and evaluate, right, what was the threat risk? Right, you always have to look, is there a credible threat to this event? And if there was a significant credible event, I doubt Mr. Kirk's security team and the local police would have been in the position they were.
Right.
And so there was no information for that. And so you have to do security for what you believe is accurate and appropriate. Otherwise, we're just overkill all the time. And then the most safe place, if we just build a wall around this one, none of us ever come or go.
Right.
But
Hindsight's
it doesn't work.
Hindsight's always 20/20, but as you mentioned earlier, I mean, officers can't be everywhere to prevent every attack at all times.
No, it's an impossible expectation that we shouldn't have. Right? The most valuable thing are the people, right? Paying attention and saying, no, that's not right, and I'm going to let somebody know. That's the most valuable resource that the police have. Not the bodies, not the equipment, anything else, but the people that we interact with and protect every day.
Well, if you're just joining us, you have probably heard by now that Charlie Kirk was on the campus of UVU earlier today, and someone shot and killed him. Bullet went through his neck. That's what the reports are. And so a person of interest is in custody right now and being questioned. Department of Public Safety, along with the FBI, are co-leading this investigation. There's also a tip line that they're putting out there to try to get more information. If you know anything, more video evidence, anything whatsoever that can help police in their investigation and the FBI in their investigation, they would like to hear from you. There were about 3,000 people there. Most people are rolling with their cameras now these days. I have 2 of them. And so they are probably getting more and more information in. As you were talking about, Chris, the information's not going to stop coming in, is it?
No.
To law enforcement?
No, you would like to think that there would be an end to it.
Yeah.
No, this will be going on. And you look at significant events that take place, we still see video and things show up of 9/11 and different events, and somebody says, oh, I got a different angle or anything else. This will be ongoing for a long time.
Yeah.
One thing to point out is there will be a vigil held at Utah State Capitol building. It will be put on at 7 p.m. this evening. The Utah House of Representatives, they are planning this vigil once again for 7 p.m. at the Capitol. No doubt there will be a number of people that will be in attendance and comforting each other, as well as asking questions about how do we move forward, what can we learn from this. In about a couple of minutes, we will be starting the top of our 5 o'clock newscast, and we will be catching up with our Heidi Hatch, as well as Brian Schnee, who is also at the scene. And we have a number of crews that are around and on campus, getting as much information as possible.
Yeah, we have people at the hospital. Don't mean to cut you off. I think we're probably sending a crew over to the medical examiner's office. That's going to play part in this investigation. Multiple crews throughout. As we're trying to break down and make sense of this tragedy. Tragedies, you really can't make sense of them. But this was a very influential person, not only on the national stage, but the international stage in the conservative movement. And according to the governor, it was a political assassination that happened on the campus of UVU today.
Yes, and there have been a number of people within the political realm who have commented on this, offered their condolences, and it has just been sweeping all through social media, and of course people voicing their concerns about future events and what this means for high-profile individuals in the political realm, of how they could be safe while also making public appearances. UVU invited Charlie to come, and so this is just a tragedy that no doubt no one will forget.
Yeah, and Charlie was known for going to college campuses and trying to get young people involved in the political process. He would hold these debates on campus. It was one of the things that he was known for. That's what was going on today. A debate was just getting started. This event had not been going on for very long when someone shot and killed him. 2 News at 5 is going to start right now.
This is breaking news on 2 News at 5.
Thanks for joining us live here from Orem on 2 News at 5 o'clock. With Heidi Hatch, I'm Brian Schnee, continuing to follow the developments of the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk on campus here at Utah Valley University earlier today.
Heartbreaking day for so many. Thousands were in attendance. We know that many of you had students that were either on campus or at this event. Thousands of students there watching as this happened. I feel you today. My son, a student here at Utah Valley University, a sophomore this year. I did not know he was going to be at the event. He was actually texting me from the event earlier today saying I'm going to talk to him. I was trying to figure out who he was talking to, and the next thing I heard was a call, him panicked and running, scared. You could hear screaming on campus. All the kids were running after that shot was fired. Hopefully we can talk to him at some point, but I know many of your students probably have had similar experiences. Brian, he told me on the phone that when this happened, he was standing in line. He was number 10. He wanted to debate or ask Charlie a question. He was waiting there not far from the stage. He heard one shot. He saw his head go back, and then just sheer panic, everyone running from campus and all of these students trying to figure out where to go. This is not a campus where students live on campus, so they were all just trying to find a safe space to be.
That's very consistent with what we've heard also from other students, other event goers that were out there earlier today. This transpiring just after noon, just after the event and the speaking portion started to get underway. This was the first stop on Charlie Kirk's tour. This is what he does. He travels the country and debates students on topics, and there were 2 stops in Utah. There was this one here at Utah Valley.